super spooky stories for kids. Chilling ghost tales. Introduction. The basement of your local library is a dark and creepy place. Some people even say it is haunted. Usually, no one but the librarians are allowed down there. Today, though, something is different. When you enter the library lobby, you see a sign. Scary stories, today only. Arrows lead you to the door of the creepy basement. You cannot see past the doorway. It is too dark. Are you brave enough to go down the stairs? Your favorite librarian opens the basement door. "Are you here for a story?" she asks. "It is almost time." As you and your friends shuffle past, she whispers, "That is, if you're not afraid." Why we tell ghost stories. One of the first written ghost stories is very old. It goes back to the 1st century AD. That's nearly 2,000 years ago. An ancient Roman writer said an old man in chains was haunting his house. Most cultures around the world tell ghost stories. Why? A good scary tale is one that leaves everyone covered in goosebumps. We love spooky stories because they let us feel scared without facing actual danger. They let us escape to a new place, and we can share that experience with our friends. A good story is something we all can share. Being afraid can bring people closer together. Chapter 1. Houdini's Great Escape. Harry Houdini was a famous magician. People came from far distances to watch his dangerous escape tricks. He was well known for getting out of what looked like impossible situations. His biggest act was being lowered headfirst into a tank of water. His legs were chained together. The crowd waited to see if he could escape before running out of air. He always escaped just in time. But his most famous trick might have been one he performed after his death. After his mother's death in 1913, Houdini visited a medium. Mediums are people who say they can talk to spirits. The medium said that Houdini's mother had a message. She used the medium's hand to write it. The only problem, the note was in well-written English. Houdini's mother could not speak that language well. She could not write in English at all. Houdini offered a huge reward to anyone who could prove they were actually a medium. No one ever passed the test. He used scientific investigation to prove people were fakers. Mediums. The Fox Sisters. In 1848, 3 sisters claimed they could hear from the dead. Kate, Leah, and Maggie Fox asked ghosts questions. Then, the ghosts would answer with a rapping sound. Soon, hundreds of people were lining up to see the Fox sisters. People were allowed to look for anything that could make the rapping noises. Nothing was ever found. For years, people believed the Fox sisters were real. In 1888, Maggie Fox said it was all an act. The sisters made the noises with their joints. But the sisters had inspired other mediums. One person who believed in the foxes, the medium who said she talked to Houdini's mother. Even after seeing many fakers, Houdini must still have believed in ghosts. He and his wife Bess made a promise to each other. Whoever died first would contact the other from the spirit world. The two made up a secret code. Houdini died on October 31st, 1926. He used his last breath to give her a coded message. Frightful fact: Harry Houdini is buried in Queens, New York City, New York. Visitors leave flowers, playing cards, and stones near his grave. Bess always kept a candle burning near a photo of her husband. Every Halloween, she called to him. Famous people were invited to attend. In 1929, a man named Arthur Ford showed up. He closed his eyes and began to whisper and hum. Then Ford said, "Hello, Bess." His voice sounded just like Harry's. A cold breeze came through an open window. It blew out a nearby candle. The table shook. Ford slowly said the secret code. Did Houdini really speak to his wife from the spirit world? Or was that a fake too? One newspaper wrote that Bess and Ford made a deal. If Bess told Ford the code, he would share some of his riches with her. In fact, Ford became very famous after that. Ford was a psychic. Psychics are people who claim they have special talents. That talent might be knowing the future, or they might be able to see or talk to ghosts. Other people believed, and still believe, that Houdini's spirit really did speak. Even today, people call Houdini's name on Halloween. They believe that if anyone could have escaped death, it would be Harry Houdini. After all, he was the greatest escape artist of all time. Messages from beyond. Some people will do anything to hear from a lost loved one. Just a moment or two of extra time is something many dream about. They might want to know about life after death. They might have something to say. They may just want to know that their loved one is all right. Thinking about people who are no longer here keeps them alive in our minds. Chapter 2. Ghost Hunters. Houdini wanted the ghosts to come to him, but sometimes people go to the ghosts instead. These people are called ghost hunters. Friday night used to be the busiest night at Jim's Village Inn, but now the parking lot is empty. People don't eat at Jim's anymore. Not after what happened. Not after the spirits visited. It happened on a night just like this. Two strangers stepped through the door and sat down. As Jim watched, their table shook. Their drinks crashed to the floor. Forks flew through the air. As scared customers ran out the door, the sign on top of the restaurant fell to the ground. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Jim picked up the phone and called some ghost hunters. They sent someone right away. The ruins of Ness. In southern Norway, two rivers meet and flow together. At their edge stands an old church. It was built in the 1100s. That is more than 900 years ago. Several fires have damaged the building. The walls still stand, but anything wooden is long gone. The church ruins of Ness are said to be haunted. Visitors say they feel like they are underwater. They feel pressure on their chests. They find it hard to move. Dark shadows can be seen everywhere. Flashlights and cell phones stop working on the church grounds. Sometimes cars even break down. This is one of the most haunted places in Norway. Ghost hunters study poltergeists. Those are ghosts that knock things over and make a lot of noise. In German, poltergeist means noisy ghost. Harry Price has been called the original ghost hunter. He studied hundreds of haunted places in the early 1900s. Like Houdini, he looked for real proof. He listened to sounds and watched for movement. He had special tools that would only work if there was a real ghost. Sometimes tables shook, lamps fell over, doors locked on their own. There was nobody in the house with Price. These were places Price proved were haunted. Price wrote books about how to study haunted places. His books are still used by ghost hunters today. Spooky at home. In 2020, people noticed something strange. Things were going on inside their houses. Were they losing their minds? No, they had poltergeists. But it was the middle of a pandemic. COVID-19 was spreading across the globe. Many people were following stay-at-home orders. They could not leave their houses. Were bored people who were stuck at home seeing things? Maybe the ghosts got tired of people being around all the time. Today's ghost hunters use special tools. They can see warm or cool spots. They can pick up the smallest noise. Walkie-talkies let hunters work as a team. Night vision glasses make even the darkest home easy to see. Motion sensors light up at the smallest twitch. Many of these tools can be bought online. But ghost hunting can be done without fancy tools, too. Sometimes you just need a flashlight. Simple sound recorders and phone cameras can prove that ghosts were there. And sometimes the ghost is not hiding. The ghost hunter proved that Jim's Village Inn had its very own spirit. Instead of closing, Jim bought a new sign. His restaurant is now called Jim's Haunted Inn. Every Friday night, people come from miles around. They hope to see the poltergeist with their own eyes. Frightful fact. Believing in ghosts is the first step to finding them. People who don't believe might miss the signs that a spirit is near them. Letting yourself believe in ghosts can open your mind to new ideas. You might see or hear new things. Chapter 3. Sweet Mary. Holmesville was a nice place. Everyone was welcome, no matter where they came from. The streets were safe. Everyone stopped to say hello. Jack lived in Holmesville. He spent most of his time playing basketball or baseball with his friends. But he didn't have a friend that he could just talk to. That's when he met Mary. It happened by accident. Jack was sitting in his car in front of the library. He spotted a girl sitting on the bench across the street. Frightful fact. There are many words in the English language that are borrowed from other languages. Our words for ghost are no exception. Have you heard the words phantom, phantasm, specter, spook, or haunt? Those are all words for kinds of ghosts. They come from other languages. How to say ghost in French? Specter. German. Geist. Malay. Hantu. Romanian. Fantoma. Spanish. Fantasma. Swedish. Spoke. The girl waved to Jack. He decided to walk over. He said, "Hi." The girl Mary patted the bench. Her voice was quiet, but her smile was nice. Jack thought she looked like she was cold. He gave her his coat. The two talked for a long time, although Jack did most of the talking. Mary smiled. She said a few kind words. Like Jack, she did not have many friends. She told Jack she was just happy to listen. At sundown, Jack drove Mary home. Before she went into the house, she turned. She looked at Jack and smiled. It was the sweetest smile Jack had ever seen. The next morning, Jack bought a bouquet of flowers. He went back to Mary's house. A small old woman answered the door. When Jack asked if he could see Mary, the woman looked startled. She invited him inside. She pointed to a picture on the wall. "Is this the girl you spoke to?" she asked. Jack nodded. "I am Mrs. Sweet, Mary's mother," she said. "Mary died almost 50 years ago. She's buried in the Holmesville Cemetery." Jack ran until he reached the cemetery. He found Mary's grave. His jacket was folded over it. When he picked up the jacket, he noticed that it smelled of perfume. "Don't be sad," Mary said. "I'm right here." Ghost senses. We sense ghosts with more than our ears and eyes. Do you feel a chill? Sometimes cold spots are a sign of ghosts. We can smell them too. They might smell like they did in life, like Sweet Mary. Other ghosts might smell bad. If you smell something rotten, run. Sometimes ghosts can become solid, at least for a little while. They might be able to grab people or objects. They might even be able to wear a coat for a short time.